Hey.
Okay.
Hello, gents.
Let's go, boys. We've had
Thomas. Good evening,
hey,
Thomas.
We're not the first here. There's a first.
There aren't many in, Andy.
I don't know yet.
Fucking wank.
Oh, we've got 12 on. That's not too bad. Glad everyone's here on time. So we're going to be. We'll give it a couple more minutes. Allow a few more people to join. We've got
Liam.
Some of the usual dodgy characters.
Liam. Hope you're doing well, mate. Happy birthday for the other day.
Happy birthday, man.
It's Dragster.
Dragster is one of my good friends who lives in Whitehaven, and I told him about this live stream. So once he can come over to my house and do the whole without this fucking lockdown thing, he's got like, I don't know. I was talking to him the other day, and he says he's got about 200 records. He's got a shitload of CDs, shitload of cassettes. Been into it for ages. Been my mate for over 30 years. So we need some more UK guys in the VC as well, don't we?
Yeah.
Get involved, Dragster.
Get them going.
Well,
and what a fucking awesome nickname that is, isn't it, Dragster?
We're having to invite Canadians onto the stream, so we definitely need more UK people to fill it out. So is this his actual picture, Mike?
You are?
Is this his actual picture?
That's what it looked like 30 years ago.
Oh, because I remember you saying that they all had much better hair than you. I'm just saying, absolutely.
Oh yeah, everyone had better hair than me. Yeah, he's still got better hair than me, and he's got fucking none. He's shaved it all off, but he's still better than mine.
Is this for telling us who's like banging to the glam metal? Those,
Yeah. And because he's a postman, he hasn't put on any weight either.
Hey, Daniel.
No.
What do you mean, hello, people, and Darcy?
Hello,
Darcy, not a people.
Yeah.
I got him.
Gee, good evening,
Jordan.
Nathan. So we've got hurricane or storm Darcy happening in the UK in real life. So we've got the namesake whipping up the storm on the live stream today as well.
Nathan.
This is cool. People in the past have been a little bit shy to come in and say hello, but everyone's
awesome. Get involved. Say you're here. Thank you, everyone, for joining us.
So you actually have a storm called Darcy?
Yeah, Storm Darcy. It's hitting the UK.
I thought you were just pulling my crank.
No.
It's a very polite storm.
Yeah. It doesn't fucking swear often.
Where's this fucking idiot gone to?
Oh, his new phone's fucked.
iPhone 12 and it's fucking gone already.
That's Storm Darcy.
About how it's not going to be a problem for him. At least he's not clicking when he's not here.
No, it's not clicking. It just doesn't work. Mark.
So, how's everybody been? While we're waiting for
ill. I've been to the hospital for the camera down, and it's not pleasant. You've got to bite on like a tube, and then the guy said to me, "It doesn't go down it goes down where your food goes. It doesn't go where you breathe. So just concentrate on your breathing." I had this nurse who was, she was really fucking great, to be honest. And then this guy just started fucking hossing this rope down my throat, and it's about, seriously, it's as thick as your little finger at least, and it's like 4 foot long, and you've just like, to be honest, it was only down 2 minutes, so you can put up with most things for 2 minutes, but even rats, I could probably put up with rats for 2 minutes. But when he pulled it out, I just jumped up off the fucking bed and I went, "It's not cancer, is it? It's not cancer, is it?" And he said, "No cancer." And I went, right, I'm not fucking bothered about what else, as long as there's no cancer. And that was, so I've got to go for the scan on the 11th as well to find out. I'm hoping I've got fucking gallstones like for man and beast, because
I'm gonna love it.
Yeah, you're gonna get the shit ripped out of you tonight. Like,
I think he should probably fuck off.
we're all
Yeah, horrible. Anyway, go on. I'm taking too much airtime. Everyone else talk.
Well, I was just gonna say it's just been a shit week for weather. I work outside.
Oh, yeah.
80% of the time, so the weather's just been absolute pish. But apart from that,
You know what it was here today? Minus 30 Celsius.
oh my god!
Yeah.
You see, if it was minus 30 in the UK, everything would grind. Everything would grind to a halt. In Canada, they just go, "Oh right, yeah, minus 30. Get the shovels out, crack on." In England,
You can't. But what happens though, Darcy? Because you can't breathe at them temperatures. So what happens?
You know what? It's not as bad as you think, but it's bad. But you know what? Here we even plug in our vehicles. There's a battery blanket that goes over your battery in your vehicle, and you plug your vehicle in overnight, keeps your battery warm, or your vehicle may not start. It's, minus 30 is pretty frigid, and with the wind, it's more like minus 35.
So you're just so organized. We get like more than 5 inches of rain and we're fucked. Honest to God. In other countries they have I'll get the chains on the tires. We'll get the battery warmers. You're just so sorted. Everything's organized, isn't it?
Well, with the UK, it doesn't seem to matter. We've got like a tiny bandwidth of what we can cope with. If it gets too hot, we're like, oh, fucking hell, this is ridiculous. And if it gets too cold, we're the same. And you can't. We're only happy for a couple of days a year. You know what I mean?
For us though, that's freak weather.
Frankie.
That's why we're not prepared.
Frankie's got good weather.
Yeah, so it's about 3 degrees Celsius here. So
Frankie's in Canada, but
it's just more rain.
The distance actually, Frankie is from Darcy is about the distance from us to fucking Egypt or something, isn't it?
It's 3,000. It's probably 3,000 kilometers. But where Frankie is, if they even get 2 inches of snow in Vancouver, they're done. Shit shuts down.
Yeah.
Really, you can ask them.
Frankie, for fuck's sake.
They can't cope there.
That's like England.
Right. So do you want to tell everyone what's happening, Andy?
You think I know?
Come on.
Okay. We are going to go back to our tried and trusted formula of the A to Z of heavy metal. We're aiming to do half the alphabet because when we tried to do the full alphabet sometime last year, it took us about 8 to 10 hours, I think, in total to do it. So we're going to leisurely work our way through. We split the letters out between 5 of us, and we're just going to pull out some records from bands, begin with those letters, have a little bit of chat about those records. And it doesn't necessarily have to be our favourite records, but just something that we think will be a bit of a talking point. And who knows, we may go down the odd rabbit hole or two. That's very likely to happen. So should we kick off? Who's got A?
I got A. Hey, and you guys, I got to thank you for inviting me back on. I've been pumped about this since you asked me. So thank you very much. Looking forward to spending some time with everybody who's watching and everything. But all right, so I got A. And I've been kind of in an accept mood lately. So unfortunately, I didn't get the new album in the mail yet. It should be here in a few days. But you know what? I was watching an interview with, Rob Flynn, his channel. Called No Fucking Regrets.
Yeah.
So I watched the full interview with Wolf Hoffman from Accept. And I've been an Accept fan since 1983. Love the Udo era. I love it. But you know what? The new stuff, these past 5 albums are superb. And but I watched the whole interview, and Wolf was talking about, basically we were all retired, and I was just visiting Peter, the bass player, and he says, let's just jam a few tunes. Let's get a drummer. And I hear there's this guy who, you know, from some band called TT Quick. So Mark, they bring Mark in, they start jamming, and they did Balls to the Wall. They did Flash Rockin' Man. And all of a sudden, here we go again. They had no plans. This just happened like in 2009. So, but this is their comeback album in 2010. This is called Blood of the Nations. So basically, I just wanted to show this one today because if you're on the fence about the new Accept, rest easy because it's great. And the new album, it's going to rank pretty high for me. It's I've listened to it a few times already. I couldn't wait till I got my copy. But I picked this one today because this is kind of where it all started in 2010 again, kind of resurrected their career. You know, you have Wolf Hoffman, who is the sound of Accept. When you hear that guitar tone, that is the guy. As long as you have Wolf Hoffman, you will still have Accept. No matter who's on vocals, no matter, you know, brand new bass player on the new album. But yeah, between that interview, the new album, and Mike's been, he's really actually made me pretty happy this past week. He said, you know what, this is good shit, and I'm going to buy some of it. So I think
I've just bought that CD.
Yeah, and great album. This is the, you know, and the funny thing is when they did this, they didn't even have a record label or anything. They didn't have a proper booking agent, no management. And away they went. And here we are, about 12 years later, 5 awesome albums. So I don't know. And Scott, you just showed the new album today. Your video. So what do you guys thinking about this one?
I actually think they did well with picking up Mark Tornillo. I think because although he's not Udo, and Udo's got that kind of really familiar voice, Mark Tornillo's kind of got the same kind of voice.
Yeah,
obviously not the same, but it's the same kind of voice. That same kind of like kind of guttural kind of
sandpaper, like a sandpaper voice.
Yeah, he's still got that same kind of like tone about him. So I think they've done really well. I think comparing the early Mark stuff to the newer stuff, I think they started off really well, really strong. And if you've seen my video that I put up today of the new album, I think the lyrics are a little bit weak. I even noticed that a little bit on Rise of Chaos, the last one that came out. I think, I don't know, it's just they seem to take this kind of easy route when it comes to the lyrics. For some reason, I don't know why. When it's almost like you could you could guess the lyrics before they're even sung.
Yeah,
that
exactly
kind of thing.
What you're saying. Yeah,
but as for Wolf Hoffman, he is obviously the backbone. The music on the new album is phenomenal. Love the music on the. I always love the Accept sound. It's never a disappointment when you hear an Accept album because you know the sound and the music's going to be great. But I definitely think they started off strong. Hopefully they'll keep going and maybe pick up the lyrics. I mean, I don't mean the lyrics in full, like the full album, but there were those 2 songs especially that I just thought hard work with the lyrics. But yeah, really enjoy Accept though.
No, like on the last album, The Rise of Chaos, and the lyrics that you're talking about are songs like, if you remember a song called Hole in the Head or something, like a hole in your head. They're just basic lyrics. They're just almost just there. But Wolf Hoffman talked a bit about lyrics on Rob Flynn's show, and he goes, you know, you got to have lyrics. He goes, you know, he didn't put down any of the lyrics because I think since Mark's joined the band, Mark does all the lyrics. Now that never used to happen back in the day. A lot of the lyrics were actually written by their manager, Gabby Hoffman. But if you notice on some Accept albums, the word Deafy.
Yeah, Deafy, yeah.
That's just really her.
Yeah.
So
and
she would help.
I noticed that because I looked at the credits on the new album, and that's the first time I actually noticed that it said thanks to Gabby Hoffman and in brackets Deffy. Yeah. I didn't know that was her.
Yeah, that's her. And because basically when Accept started back in the day, Breaker, Restless and Wild, they couldn't even barely speak English. They could get by in a conversation, but they definitely needed help in that department. So she was there. Which is now Wolf Hoffman's wife for years now.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, great album. If anybody's out there on the fence about new Accept, these past 5 albums, they're awesome.
I don't have any new Accept in my collection. I say I have everything up to about 88, 89, but I've just never felt motivated to check out the newer stuff. And I don't know why. There are other bands where I've carried on, or even in the last few years picked up on again and made an effort to actually go and pick things up. But Accept has just, can't put my finger on it, but I just never felt the need to go and check out their newer stuff. In fact, how many of their original lineup are still there?
Well, just one now, actually, Wolf Hoffman. Peter left after the Rise of Chaos. And you know what? I don't know why they always give bullshit reasons why they leave, because I don't believe that's why he left. I think there's something we don't know or haven't been told. But regardless, he's not in the band because honestly, he turned around and he started collaborating with Udo and Stefan Kaufman, the former drummer of Accept. And they wrote about 3 or 4 songs on that new UDO album, We Are One.
Mm-hmm.
And they also did a song called UDO and the Old Gang or something. It was like a one-off song with 3 original members of Accept, with Peter, Stefan, and Udo. So, I don't know why he left, but when you got a band like, let's say Megadeth wouldn't exist without Dave Mustaine. Accept wouldn't exist without Wolf Hoffman. He could pick, I'm sorry to say, he could pick 4 guys off the street and still make not off the street, but you know what I mean. He would still make a good album because Accept is his guitar sound.
Yeah, I agree.
I think the difference with Dave Mustaine and Megadeth is he's also the voice, so there's that consistency throughout, regardless of who else is in the band.
See, for me, I think when I first heard Accept, it was back in the days of we used to have a local rock night, and they used to play Fast as a Shark, and we all know that intro with they're using the old 100-year-old German ditty. When that came on, and I was only a teenager, I was only a kid when I first started going to rock night. I didn't have a clue what that was, and then when it came in, that Fast as a Shark sounded like thrash to me back in '88 or something. When I started going to the rock night, it just sounded like thrash, and I thought it was fantastic. But I only heard it in passing who it was, and I can't really remember anybody picking up any Accept albums or anything like that, and they just sort of vanished from my mind. And I know Balls to the Wall came out, and I think I've probably seen that on Power Hour, something like that. And but they just vanished, and it was only when they came back in 2010 that I heard that album.
Good album.
And I think it's kind of to me, I see them a bit like I see them as like a little boy version of Judas Priest. Since they do their Andy Sneap production and stuff, it's like Judas Priest's little brother type of thing. And I actually can't distinguish. I know a lot of people probably say Restless and Wild's where it's at, but I've listened to that this week, and I've listened to all 5. I've listened to a lot of Accept this week, because, like you said, it's me that's got you listening to Accept all week, and I can't sort of tell much of a difference. So a bit like I am with Kiss, because I came in so late, basically when it's at the end of its life with Kiss. I came in at that. I can't see that sonic boom's really far much worse than something else. They don't seem like that to me. And those 5 Accept albums just seem as good as any of the classic stuff. So I'm kind of fortunate, I think, in that respect, because I don't see this drop off in quality. And I know they've got a different singers and stuff. I mean, that you sent me that cassette with that, and it's probably an Accept album that people don't like. That Eat the Heat. Is it David Reese? I think it's absolutely phenomenal, that album. That's the only one I own at the moment, but I plan to try and collect all the Accept.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just don't see the distinguishing, the old and the new being worse than the classic era and stuff. I think they're very consistent.
Yeah, but with hey Bev,
hey Bev,
what you're saying though is
hey,
like
Bev.
with what I watched Andy's 2 videos on Magnum. I wouldn't know one Magnum album to say it's better than the next one. You know what I mean? Because I'm coming in way late to the party. Whereas Accept, I've been with them not from day one, but really early. So, like Udo Dirksnyder was just, we'd watch Balls to the Wall on Canada's Much Music. And there's this little German dude with short hair, kind of chunky or whatever, with this crazy voice. And we're just like, and that opening guitar riff for Balls to the Wall, one of the all-time classic opening riffs ever. And Fast as a Shark, actually, Rob Flynn was saying how back in the day, Rob Flynn was oh my God, he goes, we just love that album. Oh my God, he was just freaking out.
That's a great album, actually.
I was pretty much the same as Mike. I was always aware of Accept, but in the rock club that I used to go to, they always kind of lumped the Accept song. It was always Balls to the Wall, but it was always played in like that hour of sort of dad rock. It was Steppenwolf and a bit of Saxon, and it was always kind of lumped with that. And me being the age I was and a thrasher, you kind of dismissed it really and didn't. I knew of them. I thought they sounded okay, but it wasn't a band I really paid any attention to until really watching people's videos like yourself, Darcy, and hearing people talking about them. And I'm thinking, this is a band who are obviously massively influential, and I've just let them sort of sail by me. So some of the first Accept albums I heard were the later ones. The one you showed there, Stalingrad, Blind Rage.
Yeah.
So my sort of introduction to Accept is the later stuff, and I was well impressed. They were heavier than I was expecting to be. Those later albums, they were really thick. The riffs were really thick compared to like the early stuff. And I've since gone back and Metal Heart and Russian Roulette, and I really enjoy them. I really, really enjoy them. And I've said it before. I don't know if anyone else has sort of had the comparison, but when I first heard Udo's voice, I was amazed how much Bobby Blitz out of Overkill kind of. I just took a real comparison between those two. Some of those screams. And I always think, I wonder if Bobby Blitz was, not that he sings in his style, but I've never heard that comparison made before, and that was one of the first things that struck me was, do you know what? That Bobby Blitz is like the Udo of thrash metal,
Yeah, that's a good comparison, yeah.
But it's like Dave Zetro and Brian Johnson, and they've all they're all sort of in the same group, aren't they?
Yeah.
No.
Not in the same band.
He hates AC/DC. And he doesn't like AC/DC.
Yeah, sorry. No, I do like AC/DC.
Yeah.
I just like pre-Brian Johnson AC/DC.
It's like Scott's kryptonite, like Rat is Mike's kryptonite.
Oh. Yeah, I actually like Reach for the Sky.
Oh, now you're going back on it all now. Don't spoil it, Mike.
No. If you watch that video,
no,
I say I like Reach for the Sky on that video. It's still nowhere near as good as Skid Row.
No, that's true.
Right, who's got B?
Right. So that A was actually that was a good amount of time. This is why we can't do 26 letters. But this should be a bit quicker because I've not picked an album or a band that I'm one of my favorites, but more of a talking point because I was thinking about bands that either I like because they sound like somebody else or got me into other bands. So the three picks I've got today have kind of got a little bit of a theme to them. But so for a B, I went for Black Star Riders, Heavy Fire. Now, obviously, these guys are the sort of Thin Lizzy band without Phil Lynott in, and carry on touring because they didn't want to tarnish the name of Thin Lizzy, but they wanted to carry on making music that sounded a bit like them. And but I don't like Thin Lizzy. I said it out loud. I think Scott's in the same boat as well. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And but I like bands, and I like quite a few bands that actually are really, really heavily influenced by Thin Lizzy, but aren't Thin Lizzy. So I've tried Thin Lizzy before. I've got the live album, which it's good, but it just doesn't get me going at all. But things like Black Star Riders I can throw on. There's other bands like Deadlord as well, and I really like that Thin Lizzy influenced sound. Just I can't get enough of it, but I just can't be doing with Thin Lizzy themselves. I can't put my finger on why, but I do like it. This is the only Black Star Riders album I've actually got as well. I did get this for a good price, otherwise I probably would have bought this one, but I will definitely look out for some more. But I don't know, is anyone here really into Thin Lizzy? Is there somewhere I should be diving into? And
I think Thin Lizzy are brilliant. That Thunder and Lightning album's the most heavy metal Thin Lizzy. But to be honest, like last year in the supermarkets where they have the CDs, they've done a 3-disc for $4.99, best of Thin Lizzy, and that's probably all you would need because it's got about 58 songs on it or something, and it's less than a fiver. So get that. Absolutely awesome Thin Lizzy. Black Star. I haven't heard that Black Star Riders album, but I've heard the newest Black Star Riders that they put out, and I used to play it over and over, and I was decorating a house for somebody. I was like, it's the only album I took, and I was there for like 3 weeks just listening to that album constantly, the newest Black Star Riders, and it's absolutely brilliant. But I've never heard any of the old ones. I can't remember what they're called, the new one now, but I like Ricky Roddick. I like the Almighty as well. So
does he have a new solo album just came out, Ricky?
Yeah,
it's coming out. Yeah, I don't know if it's out or it's coming out, but yeah, I'm interested to hear that as well because I've always liked Ricky Roddick, but I definitely haven't heard that Black Star Riders album though, so can't kind of
it's really catchy.
Can't kind of comment on that, but the latest one, if you're on about getting another one, the latest Black Star Riders is absolutely awesome. And Thin Lizzy, I know the early stuff is like a bit hit and missy, but the thing that Thunder and Lightning or whatever it's called, that's the heaviest one. That's
I've heard a couple of tracks off that. That's probably one I wouldn't mind getting, but I'd have to get it pretty cheap. Maybe I'd have to get a CD.
I'm the same as Bev there. I've never heard a single song by Black Star Riders. Never.
Really,
and I don't
really
and I don't
catchy.
I like Thin Lizzy. And I suppose that's what one of these moments that's beautiful about music is, like, Andy doesn't like Thin Lizzy but likes Black Star Riders. I love Thin Lizzy, but I've never heard Black Star Riders. And I don't know if it's because I did know that it was sort of the Thin Lizzy band under a different name. And I just thought, well, you're not going to be better than Thin Lizzy. So I'm not really sure there's much point in me checking it out. But I do like the Almighty, so I know who Ricky Warwick is.
Yeah, I don't think they're trying to be better than Thin Lizzy. I think they're specifically trying to distance themselves somewhat from it. But
yeah,
obviously they're heavily influenced because they were in in the band.
Yeah. What is it, Scott? What's the guitarist called? Scott. Forget
Gorham.
now. Gorham, yeah.
Gorham, yeah.
Good guitar player. Yeah, it's, again, the beauty of these live streams we do. It's a band that I need to check out. It's one that I haven't ignored them because of the Thin Lizzy thing, but I've just never really paid them any attention.
Yeah. Well,
I'm probably with Mike. I probably, a best of would be just perfect for me. That's when I get hooked, and then if I get hooked, then I start going down that rabbit hole of, they must have 15, 16 studio albums at least.
Thin Lizzy, yeah.
For me, I've maybe heard a handful of Black Star Riders tunes. I think the best one I heard was the one that was released maybe last year. It reminded me of the Dropkick Murphys. That kind of, it had like the fiddle and stuff in it, and it sounded really Irish, but like heavy metal Irish folk kind of thing. And I really enjoyed that track. I can't remember what it's called now. If you know the track, maybe somebody could put it in the comments. But I really enjoyed that. But it was never enough to make me journey anymore into their stuff, because there's a lot of, I think, like the radio is like saturated with that kind of band just now. Everyone's doing that on the radio. Especially, I listen to a station called Planet Rock, and that's basically what fills that station, is that kind of music. And don't get me wrong, it's okay. I don't mind it, but it's not something I would really ever seek out. So,
actually, this comment here from from Liam about a great tribute band.
I've seen them.
I hate tribute bands. I really cannot get into tribute bands at all, which is why I quite like the National Riders, because they're not. They sound like they got the Thin Lizzy thing, but they're not trying to be or imitate. It's just, that's just the sound that they've got, and that's just who they are. So I wouldn't, even my favorite bands, I wouldn't go and see a tribute band.
Well, you know what? I've seen Limehouse Lizzy because they play in my town like every year, and they're awesome. Made in England are fantastic, and so are Whitesnake UK. But I know you hate Whitesnake, Andy. You need to get the operation.
On a little side note, do you not think Dropkick Murphys sounds like an Irish bar?
Yeah, I would go there.
I don't. I've heard of them, but I don't know them.
I don't know them. No. Cheers, Adrian.
I'll have to go to the toilet. I'm 47.
Jesus, he's one of these.
I drink more than you, fucks.
I'm drinking wine though. It's like
I'm just gonna grab a beer then.
What's that wine he drinks? What's it called? Fat Cow or something?
Stupid Pig, was it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Stupid Pig, yeah. So unfortunately, one of these two's got C. So they've not really thought about this, have they?
Scott's got C.
They've just got on, haven't they?
They've got to plan their bladder trips, haven't they? Who's got C? Come on.
Scott's got C.
C. Right. I have picked 4C.
Nice.
Tonight, The Fragile Art of Existence. So
Nice
I picked this. I thought this was a really good one to go for, because obviously you've got Chuck Schuldiner, who's massive for doing death. But after all that, I think he did one of his best albums with this. And for him to kind of take a back seat, well, not really a back seat, but more than just to kind of let somebody else do the vocals, so it's like clean vocals, and it's it's just such a different direction from what Death were, and from what, and all these bands that kind of Death influenced, they just kind of took a right turn and just did something completely different. And I remember when I first listened to this, I'd listened to maybe 2 or 3 Death albums, and I thought, people were talking about this, and I thought, I'm going to give this a shot. And I was so surprised about everything about this album, how progressive it was, obviously the clean vocals, and just how more chilled out it is compared to any Death album, really. And it's just a shame, because I would have loved to have heard more of this, because it's awesome. So that's why I picked that. It's just a really unexpected kind of different direction, and it's just a shame that more of this wasn't put out. So there we go.
Great album.
I'm sure there's something to do with the last Death album, Sound of Perseverance.
Yeah.
Yes.
That was either meant to be, he was going to record the second album from Control Denied, and some of the music off that he ended up using on Sound of Perseverance.
Yeah.
It's a lot. It's the same players.
That's right. Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
There is apparently an unreleased second Control Denied album that can come out.
Yeah, I heard that.
I don't know if it's completed though, is it?
No, I don't know if it's completed, but I don't think that sounds too different. Apart from vocally, I don't think that sounds too different to the latter day Death albums, man.
You can tell it's Chuck playing. You can tell it's Chuck's riffs. There's no doubt about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm still very much in the early days of Death. That up till Human for me is where it's at. I will listen to the latter day stuff, but it's funny because I don't like the latter day stuff as much as I like that Control Denied album, and I think it's because of, I don't know, I think the vocals work a bit better, the more melodic vocal on it than the latter day Death stuff. I prefer the proper, more guttural Death.
Scott, do you have the Sound of Perseverance?
No.
It is, honestly, I absolutely love that album. I think it's very, very similar to this, what you showed, but you got Chuck back on vocals, and a lot of those, not a lot, but a few of those tracks were meant to be Control Denied tracks, but they became Death tracks to, I think they had
there was a contract issue, yeah.
Contract to fill. But if you haven't heard the Sound of Perseverance yet, it is awesome. I love that album.
Anything probably after Human, I think, Individual Thought Patterns, Symbolic, any of those later Death albums, musically is very similar to Control Denied.
Yeah.
And Chuck's voice, especially on that, I know we're getting off because you're talking about Control Denied, but Chuck's voice, you listen to that on the last album, Sound of Perseverance, it's just the scream that guy had. Just fabulous. But that Control Denied is, if anyone's watching this and you like Death and you've not heard Control Denied, you need to get that Control Denied. It's,
Epic.
It was supposed to be Warrell Dane singing on that, wasn't it? He wanted Warrell Dane to.
I wish
he wanted
was.
Warrell Dane to sing on that Control Denied, but it couldn't happen.
Can you imagine that?
Would I like Control Denied? There's the barometer we should be looking at.
Well, you like Sanctuary, so probably you could do. Yeah. It's a bit proggy though.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
I think your problem is just normally the vocals, isn't it, Andy? So vocally, it's not got any of the death metal elements at all. So yeah,
I think you should definitely give it a go, Andy. Definitely.
No. Hey, with the band Death, anything past the third album, I don't even know how you can call it death metal. It's progressive death metal, maybe, but it's not the death metal you think it is. It's not. It's
and I think even Death, with the way the logo sort of progressed over the albums, were kind of saying that on the first album it's got a witch's head and a spider hanging on it and blood dripping off it. By the end of it, the T, the inverted cross, by the end of it, the T's no longer an inverted cross. There's no blood. There's no skulls and spiders. You know, it kind of tells you the progression of the band.
They're just a metal band called Death, aren't they?
Yeah.
But halfway through, whereas the first album's definitely death metal, and the second two albums, you know, 2 and 3 are certainly in that vein. But you know, I think you'd probably like it.
If someone's got death as their D, we can have a quick conversation, aren't we?
I'm on D as well, and you won't believe it. You won't believe what I'm going to show next. Not death.
So are we ready to move on? We seem to cover death there more than Control Denied.
Funnily enough, though, what I am going to show you does have a very slight death link to it. But anyway, I'm going to show you this. This is D. If you can see that.
What the hell is that?
This is a band from Corpus Christi in Texas by the name of Devastation. And this is their album Signs of Life.
Never heard of them.
With Darcy being on, and the word thrash to piece, which I absolutely love, and Darcy's kind of coined. This what year is this? 89. This is one of those hidden gems. When thrash was in its heyday, there were so many really, really good thrash bands, and there was a few bands that kind of missed the boat a little bit, you know, just weren't quite, you know, I suppose you could call them like that second rate at the time. But it's only sort of now that you listen to these bands 30 years later that you realise how good and how many bands were around that really sort of should have got more recognition. Now, the death link is this guy here, the drummer, Louis. Now, years ago, Creator toured the UK and Death was supporting them. Spiritual Healing had just come out and Chuck had a big row with his manager and pulled out of playing the tour, him and James Murphy. So it just left the drummer and the bass player, Bill and Terry, and they decided that they wanted to carry on their tour. And they got this guy here, Louis, the drummer from Devastation. He went on tour as the vocalist for Death, which is quite mad because the band sound nothing like Death. He's the drummer. But yeah, thrash-wise, the more what you would call brutal thrash. They've got that sadist sort of speed in there. The production's typical sort of late 80s, quite thin sounding, but it's just full of fast riffs, really quick paced all the way. The vocalist, he's got a sort of a shrieky voice, not growly in the slightest, but released on Under One Flag it was, that was like the UK's version of Combat Records back in the day.
That was owned by Music for Nations.
Yeah.
It was their thrash metal arm.
I think this is their second album. The third album, called Idolatry, is their best. I don't own that because it's a bastard to find that at the right money. But and yeah, what Bitbot Boom's saying there, I think another one of those things about a lot of the thrash bands that got lost is vocally, if it wasn't to everybody's cup of tea, you know, there was quite a few thrash bands out, and if the vocals weren't perfect for you, again, they kind of got lost by the wayside. But check it out. Devastation, Signs of Life, American thrash, fast thrash.
Hey, Mark, are they still around? Did they try a comeback or a later album? Or?
I think they did, yeah. Not recently, but I think maybe a few years ago, they did have a bit of a comeback. But I don't know. I don't know how that went. I never heard anything from them, to be honest. For me, it was just all about the first, well, not the debut, but the second and the third album. And the third album, Idolatry, that's what the people who rank the albums would call the best. But this one was my introduction to him, so it has a fond place in my sort of music memory. But check him out if you like Sadus and that sort of raw, fast thrash. You should check him out.
I've never heard of them.
What's the album title?
Signs of Life.
Okay, I'm gonna write it down.
It looks about 40 quid's worth.
It
looks expensive.
It probably is. I think they've had some reissues anyway, but yeah, that's an OG, and I think it is probably about that price. Yeah, but I know they have reissued them on vinyl recently. I think Brendan Von Doom might have picked one up recently, a vinyl reissue.
Yeah, it's just said in the comments, Idolatry or I think he's picked one up. Yeah, I can't remember them, and for them to be on Under One Flag as well. That was always like Under One Flag of Music for Nations always stuck out as a kid. You always homed in on their releases, especially Under One Flag. But that's just gone right over my head. I just no idea about them at all.
If you like Sadus, I mean, vocally, someone mentioned they are a bit weak. But musically, they rip. Absolutely. They're like Sadus. They're just like a freight train,
If they get a cheap reissue, then I couldn't see me picking that up for 40 quid. Like,
no.
Did you know about them in the 80s, Mark? When that was out?
Yeah, yeah. There was another band called Evil Dead as well, and they were on Steam Hammer, and I kind of discovered both the bands pretty much at the same time, I think, and they were both sort of flying under everyone's radar, and they were, and I enjoyed them. Like I say, there were so many good thrash bands out, and it was a real, a real cutthroat industry, I suppose, because there was so many bands coming through. I just think nowadays, because you've got a lot of more modern thrash, and a lot of it's more generic these days, I find. When you hear these late 80s bands that never quite made it, when you listen, you think, fucking hell, why did they struggle? But yeah,
it's something I've never seen. I've never even seen that cover before.
No, I haven't.
And for somebody who's like always on eBay looking for 80s thrash, every thrash album, I just like lists and lists. I've never ever seen that. Never come across it.
No, I haven't.
Check it out, boys. It's an unknown thrash-to-piece.
Right. Well,
now it's a known thrash.
If you thought that was extreme, this is even more extreme. And you know what? There's a word of warning here. If you don't like what you see here, get the funk out. I tell you what, this is the album that David Lee Roth wish he had wrote with Eat 'em and Smile. This pisses on Eat 'em and Smile, and it's a similar type of album with the brass instruments now and again and that type of vibe. I think this is fantastic. I do have the one after it, but I can't remember it very well. But this was the one. This was the one that I discovered this band. I didn't know about them when they just had the first Extreme album, but this, I mean, Decadence Dance. Wait on, my glasses are fucking. You've got Nuno Betancourt. You've got an awesome guitar player. You've got like, I just think it's like a way better version than Eat 'em and Smile. I think Eat 'em and Smile is a good album. I think this is a great album. And I listened to this today before this video to make sure I definitely wanted to talk about it. And it's absolutely fucking brilliant, like, really is. So what does everyone think of Porno Graffiti? from 1990. I think this was a fantastic album. I seen them at Download, done it in 1994, but unfortunately they came on. It was Sepultura and then Pantera and then Extreme. Well, they've just got a fucking load of bottles of piss throughout them, and it's sorry, Aerosmith.
And rightly so.
You can't really put bands on, you know, when you've got like Sepultura and Pantera on, to then follow up with Extreme.
No.
You know, you really need 2 stages, I think. But I love that album. What does everyone else think?
Yeah, I like that album. I think I've got the first 3 except Extreme albums, and I would say that's by far their best one. Then their debut, and then that is it. 3 sides to every story or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's their third one. I can't really get on board with that one. It's a bit crap, that one. But that one is, I mean, one of my favourite songs off that is "Get the Funk Out." And I actually remember I was watching an interview with Brian May, and Brian May was watching Nuno Betancourt do that solo. And even Brian May was sitting there talking to the interviewer, saying, "You do not know how hard that solo is to do. I mean, that is a proper musician that can pull off a solo like that." And when you put kind of Brian May sitting there critiquing Nuno Betancourt from Extreme, it's a bit weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's awesome, and I mean that's a kind of sound that people will either love or they will hate, and I kind of love that sound. I like that the kind of brass in there, and it's not overbearing. It's just there. It kind of adds to the music rather than takes away. And Gary Sharon's got a great voice as well. So yeah, I mean, I think it's a really good.
Did he not join Van Halen at some point?
He did, yeah.
Van Halen 3, I think he was on.
Yeah,
and I think he also performed at I think they did a Freddie Mercury charity concert as well, and he performed with Queen.
Oh wow!
On that, but
see, I was too young to have seen Eddie Van Halen burst onto the scene. But when Nuno Betancourt burst onto the scene, you're like, fucking hell, that's, you know, he's awesome. He was like the next generation's Eddie Van Halen for a bit.
Oh, he's got awesome skill.
All the girls at the rock club that I used to go to, oh my god, they used to go mad over Nuno. Guitar hero, deluxe, long hair, tucked in his, get it right down, tucked in his pants. He had the look, didn't he?
That was a rock night staple, wasn't it? Every rock night you went in Britain, they had Extreme on. You know, fantastic. I didn't even mind More Than Words when that came out. I was like, well, fair enough, because I was like, that was at the time where every album had a ballad on it. Like even Testament had a ballad, and it was expected. And I remember when Act 3, Death Angel came out, and it was A Room with a View and Veil of Deception. They were the ones that immediately jumped out at you before fucking disturbing the peace. You know, the ballads jump out first because they were easier to understand.
I think More Than Words I love it. Has just suffered from too much radio play.
Oh, fuck, yeah.
If you listen to it, and you listen to Nuno's guitar playing on that, and the way he's picking at it, it's not. It's clever musically. They are a really, really good band. That's the only album I own by Extreme, purely because musicianship wise, it is fucking brilliant. Nuno Betancourt is a great guitarist, and More Than Words gets such a hard time because I think it's one of those songs. It's like Stairway to Heaven. You know, it's like everyone's heard it a million times. Like, oh, fucking hell, here we go again.
But everyone can play it, though, who owns a guitar, can't they? Because you want to learn it.
Yeah.
I don't have any Extreme. I was put off by More Than Words even before it was played to death. As soon as I heard it, I used to hate songs like that because remember back in the 80s in the UK, there was like the chart show was on, and I would watch. There was like 45 minutes, maybe an hour. I can't remember how long it was, but I watched it for like the 30 seconds they showed the rock chart. And the rock chart, they just count down. And every time there was a ballad in there, I was spitting feathers because I thought, how do you have a rock chart and have ballads in it? That's not rock. And songs like Extreme were in it. It may even be number one for weeks. And that put me off the band completely. Not because of the technically good song, but why was there a ballad at number one in the rock chart?
Yeah.
Should never have been there. So I've not been able to get past that stigma ever since.
I've only ever had their first album on cassette, and there's no doubt Nuno Betancourt is fantastic guitar player, but they honestly don't do a lot for me. Not saying they're bad, but they're just kind of not for me.
Yeah.
I think in the late 80s, Andy, the heavy metal ballad was like the heavy metal ballad was king in the late 80s.
I know, but I hated it. It really wound me up that ballads would be considered to be in a rock chart. It was like
I gotta say, I loved them all from everyone, to be honest.
They all did.
Have you ever heard the Warrant song, Uncle Tom's Cabin? I know that's not a ballad, but it's just a fucking awesome song.
Even Metallica with Nothing Else Matters and Megadeth, Le Monde, it was the thing to do back then.
I know. I'm not saying it wasn't the thing to do. I just didn't get on with it. I didn't appreciate it being in my rock chart. Thank you very much.
You know what though? When it comes to ballads, I mean, I know you can be a rock band, a metal band, all you want, but does that mean you can't do a ballad?
No, you got to be like Testament. Name your song,
but don't put it in the rock chart.
But it's by a metal band.
So if Britney Spears did a rock song, she should be in the rock. She should be in the metal chart, should we?
That would do me. Yeah. I actually enjoyed Lady Gaga and Metallica.
Actually, yeah, that was too bad.
I like the dance moves.
No, fuck that shit.
No, I like when Hetfield threw his guitar at his guitar tech.
Yeah.
That's when he had no vocals on live TV, right?
Yeah. Was that an award show or something?
Fucking mad.
Fuck them. They've been shit for 30 odd years. They don't deserve any better.
I reckon it's the karma from Lulu.
Yeah. It's not even Lulu. To be honest, after the fucking Justice album, just fuck off. That's my advice to Metallica.
Is that your advice, or is that the Fat Pig Wine's advice?
Yeah.
No, I like the Black Album and I like Death Magnetic. So
Death Magnetic's good. I like that.
They've got some good songs on, but I mean, they're only worthy. Even the great songs are only worthy of being a B-side on the first four albums, aren't they? Let's be honest. Spit Out the Bones, awesome, but it's only if you put that on the B-side of any single from the first four albums, you'd be like, oh, that's quite good as well. You know what I mean? You wouldn't say, oh, that's the best song on the album. But Spit Out the Bone is the best song on fucking Hardwired, and that's sad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because my fifth favorite Metallica album isn't even a studio album. It's Garage Days.
Yeah.
Garage Days is deadly.
I bought Hardwired, and I sat down with it with my guitar, and within a couple of hours, I could pretty much play the whole fucking album. I don't want to be able to play Metallica songs. Do you know what I mean? I remember the hassle I had trying to learn the Justice album and the Master of Puppets album. I could learn that Hardwired album in an hour. I don't want that.
Yeah.
I want more complicated stuff. Anyway, who's on F?
Fuck knows.
I'm on F.
Back to Darcy.
Go for it. All right.
Lots.
So I picked this one. I wanted to throw in a thrash-piece band, but this is not a full-on thrash album. This is kind of where this, by the way, this is called Quattro. So this is their 4th album. Bit of a departure. If you know the producer's name, Neil Kernan, he worked with Queensryche and a number of other more progressive bands. But this is where Flotsam takes a bit of a turn to more power mixed with progressive, but a fantastic album. This one's on MCA, so definitely due for a reissue. You don't get many reissues from MCA. I wish you did, but this album still has Eric AK on vocals, Michael Gilbert still in the band, which they are to this day. I'm a huge fan of this band. I've been kind of been with them since day one when I found out Jason Newsted was, his original band and where he was going, and got the gig with Metallica and stuff. But there's definitely some underrated. I think Mark showed he was actually, Mark, you were playing Drift in the background on one of your videos, probably 2 videos ago. Drift is another fantastic album, but this is the one before Drift, and you'll start to hear those more progressive changes, but fantastic album if you haven't checked this out. I don't know where you guys are at with Flotsam. I think Mark got a few.
I'm trying to pick up a lot more Flotsam and Jetsam. I've got the first 3 on vinyl. But apart from that, I'm really nowhere. But I remember you saying, because you've done a ranking on Flotsam and Jetsam, haven't you, Darcy?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I remember after that, I was straight on eBay trying to pick up some of their kind of mid-section albums, because that's where I really kind of lack. When it comes to my collection, I really lack in that kind of area. Is, you might have the first 2 or 3 amazing albums from a band, and then it kind of goes into the 90s, and that's when you just start to. It's just like a mishmash of, am I going to find it? Can I find it for a good price? All that kind of stuff. So I've not really heard anything of Flotsam and Jetsam past.
But they are a band. They're a band that lost their way in the, I would say, late 90s, early 2000s. They did lose their way. There's no doubt about it. There's some albums that I would suggest you don't start with. As per my ranking, whatever, but I think they've really found their way on their last couple albums. They're backed by a great label. You guys know the label AFM Records. Fantastic label, solid lineup. Yeah, and the last 2 albums are. Didn't you guys see them live?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
With Overkill,
yeah. I forgot about that.
Who was it? Overkill, Flotsam and Jetsam, and who?
Destruction,
yeah. I really enjoyed that last album. I think the last album was awesome, and I think the first album was awesome. And I probably like the second, but it's got to be 30 years since I've heard it, so I can't really comment. But they're awesome in a way where I go, yeah, I'm pleased I've got them CDs, but I instinctively know that there's no point in me diluting my collection by checking out anything else. That's kind of where I'm at with them. Some bands, I don't know what it is. Some bands, I jump on an album, and for some reason, something in there just says, that's all you need. I don't need to buy anything else. And that is one of them bands. I love Doomsday, and I love the last album. Can't really. I would pick up No Place for Disgrace if it was at a good price, but they're not a band I need to dig any deeper into for me personally. I think I can probably find me kicks elsewhere without, because they won't be cheap either. Limited runs and stuff like that.
But
it doesn't grab me.
Mike, with when we talk about bands where you okay, let's say the last 4 Death Angel albums, hey, they're doing the same thing over and over. I wish they would change. You could never blame Flotsam and Jetsam for not trying different things through their career. Some did not work. Some did, but they really have not made the same album, back to back. Let's put it that way. But yeah, some of it failed for sure. But yeah, I just rank them up with, they're still making great albums. They got a new one coming out here probably in about 3 months. And they said it's awesome. We're kind of a continuation of the last one, but only on steroids or something. I don't know what they said, but
I think they're one of those bands, Flotsam, if you didn't know of them and you were getting into them now, maybe a bit like Scott discovered them later. If you picked up some of the earlier mid sort of career albums, you wouldn't probably quite know what to make of them. I think the last couple of albums they've done have taken it a little bit more back to the roots. The first 2 albums, Doomsday and No Place for Disgrace, are just 2 of the best thrash albums I've ever heard. They're fantastic.
Yeah. Don't start here.
Yeah, exactly. That's. I mean, even just by the cover, the graphics on the cover, you can just see it's like that. It's you've got to be a fan from the beginning, I think, to appreciate their mid sort of career. When the Storm comes down, I always enjoyed that. I think it suffered, and I think Scott touched on it in one of his videos. It suffered with quite a poor sort of sound. It was a bit flat, the sound on that, compared to No Place for Disgrace. So it's a tough one. If people were asking me about it, I would say maybe the first, including Quattro, the first 4 albums, and maybe the more recent 4 albums. Some of those middle. What's the album? High, one called High, and Unnatural Selection.
My God.
My God, yeah. If you're not a fan from the beginning, I think those albums you could take them or leave them. But for me, Eric A.K. just got one of the greatest voices in metal. Absolutely love his.
Yeah.
I thought they were great when we saw them live in Glasgow. I really enjoyed the show, but I love the first album. I love Doomsday. I think No Place is a great album as well, but they kind of lost me after that. And I thought the most recent one was just a bit pedestrian, really. I just didn't. It was seemed to be the same sort of pace all the way through, same tempo, same sort of sound levels, and it's a good album. I'm not going to say it was a terrible album, but it's not one that I would. If I wanted to listen to Flotsam, I wouldn't listen to the latest album. I would grab one of the first 2. They're kind of like poor man's Overkill.
Yeah, they are a bit. Even though I do like the latest album, but yeah, Overkill kind of do it better.
I think I've offended Mark.
Yeah. He's just like, fuck this shit.
Try that one, Andy. You might like it. Quattro.
Is that Quattro with a C?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. See, even that annoys me.
That's because you're 50 now.
I know. Getting on a bit. So,
right. What are we on now then?
G.
Oh yes, alphabetically.
Mark G with a C, and it's my turn. Are we going to see if Mark pops back in?
With his iPhone 12.
With his super great.
You've got to pay your contract, Mark.
Yeah, he's bought the phone. He can't afford the fucking internet.
Yeah, you've got to pay the contract.
Another 50p in the meter, mate.
I've even got a booster for my Virgin, and I've actually got it in the room right next to me to avoid all these problems.
Have you switched it on?
The wife's just put another 50p in the meter.
Honestly, right. Well, I'm gonna jump in my G, and I'm gonna go a little bit old school on this one, and an artist that I disregarded for many years, but I saw a bunch of his albums in Final Villains, I think it was, Scott, and I grabbed them, and I've been consuming them slowly. But I'm a big Gillan fan. And I picked this album because what I particularly like about it is this is a UK pressing of Glory Road, and it came with a second LP called For the Fans Only, and it's not even there's nothing on here at all that says there's another LP. I think they originally may have had a hype sticker on it, but there's nothing on the back. There's no credits for it. And For the Fans Only has got Gillan on there, just basically arsing about, really. There's a track list, but between each of the tracks, he's just chatting and goofing about. And what I really like about it is, especially as this was in the 80s, is that you didn't really get to hear many musicians speak unless you kind of saw them live or saw them on stage, but you wouldn't really see a lot of interviews published. And just hearing him goofing around and making a bit of an arse of himself and doing silly voices and what have you, I just kind of really love the fact that they stuck all that on an album, and you get to hear all that, and you get to kind of get a little bit of the personality of what it was like. Because I've always thought people like Gillan was kind of he's obviously one of the old school ones. He's in Deep Purple, and I've never got on with Deep Purple. There's no let's get Mark back in. There's no no secret about me not getting on with Deep Purple, and that's mainly because of obviously the John Lord sound. But this getting into Gillan got me into revisiting the Mark II of Deep Purple, and I have actually picked up In Rock since, and I'm kind of quite enjoying it. Still tentatively sticking my foot in and trying to put my fingers in my ears when John Lord goes off on one. But yeah, so the bonus album here, and if you listen to it, if you can find it online or whatever, sure it's on YouTube. It's called For Gillan Fans Only. It's just really kind of good to hear that bit of personality from musicians, and say that really got to me, because you just don't know what the personality were like for a lot of these musicians back in the day. You'd hear them on the albums, you make your own mind up about maybe what they were like, you maybe read something about it in the music press, but a lot of the music press is what they wanted you to hear. So anyway, so that's my G, a bit of Gillan. I've got about 4 or 5 Gillan albums now, 4 I think, and I really enjoy it. It's changing pace as I get older.
I haven't heard any of them, honestly. I'm not a huge Deep Purple fan either. Nothing against them. They've just never been for me. I mean, I think I had Perfect Strangers and In Rock. I think that's the only 2 I've ever owned. But no, I haven't heard any of those solo albums or whatever.
Well, I was at a car boot sale, I think, probably about a year or a year and a half ago or something. Probably, in fact, longer than that, because it wasn't anywhere near a lockdown or whatever crap that we're going through. And I picked up this for about 50 pence.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, it's Gillan, I'll give it a shot. And it does have the double disc for Gillan Fans Only and all that kind of stuff on it. And it kind of left me a bit flat, to be honest. I picked, do you know what? It was such a good day. I picked up this and St. Anger at the same stall. And I was just like, do you know what? On the way home, I'll just fuck these right out the window.
Did you listen to St. Anger first?
What's that?
Did you listen to St. Anger first?
Yeah, I did.
Well, there you go. Looks like you were in the right frame of mind for some decent music.
Yeah. So I did listen to this, and do you know what? I was like, it's okay. It's not going to blow your head off. You're not going to go, this is amazing, but it's decent. But it's definitely not enough for me to go out and buy any more Gillan. But I prefer I'm much more of a Deep Purple, like you mentioned, Perfect Strangers. That's a phenomenal album. But solo stuff, nah.
I've never heard it.
Yeah, I've never.
I know obviously who Gillan is, and about 3 weeks ago, for the first time ever, I listened to Perfect Strangers, and I really enjoy Perfect Strangers, and I enjoy some of the, Deep Purple in rock and stuff like that. I'm not averse to Gillan per se, but I've never felt the urge to pick up any of the solo stuff, but I always see a best of Gillan, which is like, basically a quid, and I might give that a go then. If
I have to say, whereas I do like Gillan, the earlier Ian Gillan band, I don't like that at all. That's not really my kind of thing. So, got to make sure you're in the. For me, it's just got to be in the right era, right period. But it's from what I've heard, because there's I think Yannick Gers was in the band. I don't know if he was on this one. No, it's got Bernie Tormey. But yeah, I don't know. So it's something that I never expected to pick up and like last year.
I like that Child in Time song. That's quite way out, isn't it? Have you heard that, Andy, in rock?
Yeah, well, I've heard the whole album now.
It's one with all the screaming and screeching and stuff. It's quite way out, but yeah, I don't mind it. I think out of the I prefer them to Led Zeppelin. I prefer Deep Purple to Led Zeppelin because I don't know what it is with Led Zeppelin. I just see too much self-indulgence, too many jam tracks where they're just like jamming along for 20 minutes and the guitar lines mimicking the singing and all that sort of shit. Oh, hello.
Where are you going to stay?
Tell us about Gillan.
Well,
who?
Actually, John Bip Pop Boom there, he just commented on Born Again by Black Sabbath. I absolutely love that album. I think it's awesome.
I've never heard anything by Gillan solo wise. Obviously, I've heard his Deep Purple stuff, and I've always dead impressed. I love his voice, to be honest. Yeah, he was always been a fan, really. Always, I've never really sort of delved into anything deeper of his own stuff, but again, maybe something that I should check out. And I quite like what Andy was saying about the sort of hearing that personal side of a musician. Hearing the little bits in between tracks and all that. I think it's quite a nice thing to hear that. But I'm just made up to not still be here and not keep fucking disappearing, to be honest. So
I'll hoping that was just you gone for good.
You useless bastard.
Like I say, I've even bought boosters. Got a new phone, bought boosters to get rid of all this clicking ridiculousness, and it's not done fuck all, has it?
What was fuck on the whittle?
Yeah.
Right, what's next? When I went to school, it was H.
Listen, we're not taking your word for any of the letters.
No, you do
Jim
right.
Diamond.
I didn't get. I didn't stick in at school.
Right, I'm gonna go for
Too much sex.
yeah, aye, with yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I'm going for Hex and Under the Spell. This is actually just a recent pickup for me, and it's one of those albums that you finally get on the turntable and you think, I wish I'd picked this up sooner, because it is awesome, absolutely awesome. The way I kind of describe it is, it's like Judas Priest around Ram It Down, kind of Painkiller with Dio on vocals. It's just absolutely awesome. It is a flawless album. And like I said, it's kind of fresh in my mind because I've just picked it up. I've had it on a few times over the last month or so, and it's, you know what, I pulled it out for this. Obviously to show it, but I'm gonna put it on. Like, I'm gonna keep this out and put it on again. because it's one that's I know is going to get repeat listens, and any recommendations for any more Hex would be greatly appreciated, because this is just awesome. I think this is their second album. What was their first one? No Escape.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's phenomenal. So
Excellent.
Hex, Under the Spell, just amazing album.
They look like they cost a fortune. OG presses on CDs, especially. But is that the same band that? I'm sure one of their album covers is a guy like chopping the top of his head off, and all these demons coming. Is that the same band?
That's a later album, though. What you're on about?
Okay, I just looking at that album cover. I need to hear that. I've never heard those early.
Awesome album, and you described them perfect.
You did, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's difficult with that description, Scott. It's difficult for anyone else to input. That's the problem, because he absolutely nailed it, and yeah, that's basically what it is. It's Judas Priest mixed with Dior, and it's is that on Shrapnel or Roadrunner or something? So you just know them like underground sort of second, third rate American power metal from the 80s. There's loads of awesome albums, but they never got to the UK. I don't know whether they got to Canada, but they didn't get far. That's my point. And so they're really expensive. And
mine's a reissue on Metal Blade. This box set.
That looks lovely.
That's not cheap though, Darcy.
No, that was sent to me from a friend of mine, Stephen.
So Thomas was just saying then about a death metal phase. Did they change their style later on then for those later albums? Did they sort of go from that?
I don't
tradition?
know.
I don't know Hex that well to
know
that.
Because the album,
that's actually the only one I've heard.
I only know these two albums. But I actually seen their new album on somebody. Didn't they have an album in 2020?
Yeah, they just had a new one out.
Yeah, I've seen somebody had that on their top 20 list. It was that good apparently.
I'm gonna have to check that out. It's another one I've written down along with Devastation and Control Denied. This is my my picking list for. For
Andy, that is like so in your wheelhouse.
You'll love that. You will love it.
It's honestly, when I first put it on, I was like, that way you just go, I wish I had this sooner.
Yeah.
Why have I never owned this?
Exactly.
I had that for sale on record a while back, and Black Star Vinyl bought it off me to send to Bev, and but it's so rare and expensive. It's a horrible price, but that's the only negative about the album, because it's just.
But is it, Mike?
What?
Is it expensive?
It is.
But is it?
How much did you pay for that?
£3.
That's mental.
Yeah, that's.
Well, I said that in my update because.
How much did you charge Rob?
If I disappeared off this live stream, it's not my internet going. I need to go on eBay. And
about 20. I would say that is a minimum of a 25 quid album. Minimum.
Are you trying to convince us or Rob?
Yeah. Rob's looking for a refund.
No,
I said in my update when I first got that. I said in my update, I was the only person bidding on it. The minimum bid was £3, and I won it on £3.
It goes for 25, 30 quid all the time.
Honestly,
and to be honest, that's what Rob paid me for Bev.
I mean, the only thing that's wrong with this is it's got this little sticker mark, and that's it.
Oh, what a piece of shit!
I'm surprised you've not restored that, mate, with your newfound talent.
Well,
get your pens out.
I'll get my pens out.
Get your crayons out. Come on.
Yeah, I bet this box set is worth. I bet you 75 Canadian dollars. I bet.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh.
It used to be on Amazon, and I was like, I was umming and ahhing about it, and it was about 20 quid on Amazon, and then it just disappeared, and now it's fucking stupid.
Well, if there's anyone out there who does want to send that as VCLT to me, if there's a Stephen out there, do you know, I'll leave my address in
Jamie.
What's next? G H I.
We're going for I. So, Andy, if you need a toilet or anything to eat, you can go now because you won't want to.
I was just, do you know what? I was just about to run off. So you do your extreme.
You won't want to put.
He's going to. I'm going to guess Incubus.
I'm going to guess he's frozen.
Yeah. So Jay.
Talk amongst yourselves. I'll be back in a sec.
What the fuck is he doing?
Return that phone.
Can you hear me, guys? You still there?
We're still here. You're not.
Mark?
Jesus.
Oh, man. Come on, Mark. Get your shit together.
I don't know what it is about his setup.
His room is like just denies Wi-Fi, I think.
Yeah.
It's all those Joe cases.
Yeah.
It's those lead-lined CD shelves he's got.
Yeah. It's like he's in his wee underground music bunker. Yeah. Oh well.
Right.
Well, we just do Jai just now and wait for Mark to come back.
Yeah, let's do it.
Is that what you want? Well, I tell you what. I know. Oh, he's here.
Oh, he's back.
Fucking hell. Look at the time. The timing of that could have been worse. What's going on? Right, we're on I. Can you read that?
What the hell's that?
Insidious something?
Insidious.
Insidious Disease. Now, this is death metal, old school death metal, featuring the singer Mark Grew from Morgoth. This has got Shane Embury from Napalm Death, bass player. It's got guitarist from Dimmy Borghi, a guitarist from a band called Old Man's Child, the drummer from Nile. It's a bit of a super group. Released on 2010 release. That's the actual cover there.
What is it called?
Insidious Disease, and the album's called Shadowcast.
Never heard of it.
It's more modern death metal, but like I say, Shane Embury from Napalm Death, whatever he tends to get involved in, I'm usually a fan of. Mark Grew out of Morgoth, big fan of them. It's a modern death metal band playing old school style.
Well, yeah, like you say, Shane Embury's awesome, and Morgoth as well. Who else was he?
The old drummer from Nile. So technically, musicianship wise, it's absolutely fantastic. It's
and who out of Old Man's Child's in there?
Guitar. I think it was a guitarist. Yeah, which I'm not really familiar with that band.
Gene Hoglan drummed on. Was the drummer on an Old Man's Child album? Wasn't he?
That's right. Yeah. See, and it's got a cover of Leprosy by Death, the last track, bonus track. But it's one of those bands that I don't see really get mentioned that often. And when you look at the sort of caliber of the musicians in it, I think they've got a new album out just last year, which I need to pick up. But yeah, it's modern death metal. It's got that sort of that technical side to it that modern death metal has now. But because of the musicians playing on it, and they're obviously going for a more old school style, it's right in my wheelhouse, no doubt about it. Insidious Disease.
I like some of the bands that they came from, but I've never heard of it. What label's that on?
Century Media.
No idea about that.
Are they still going?
They are still going, yeah. I mean, I think this is their first time. I think they've only got another album out, so they've only done 2 albums in 10 years. But Shane Embury here, he's involved in a lot of projects, and so he's a busy man.
He's like a journeyman, Shane Embury, isn't he?
Yeah, he's fabulous. Love him. He's a massive part of the UK metal scene, isn't he? So anything that I see him attached to, I'm going to check out, and especially Mark, the singer at Morgoth as well. I've always loved.
I got a lovely email off Shane Embury's wife this week, telling me I had to buy something before they would fucking have him sign it.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I remember you saying, yeah.
What's that Tronos album like?
It's different. Yeah, it's. I've only listened to it once, but it's quite. It's quite sort of modern, industrial proggy, if that's right. Yeah, it's not quite. It's modern, old school, modern school, old.
Is it not like Triptychon?
No, it's not as dark as that. I don't think. It's like I said, I've only played it once, so I'll have to listen to it a little bit more to sort of form a decent opinion on it. But I enjoyed it. It was very good, but it was not what I was expecting at all.
No.
Well, that's another good thing about Shane Embury.
Yeah, he mixes it up, doesn't he?
Absolutely, he does. Yeah.
I don't know that band though.
But yeah, it's worth checking out. I know Thomas said a lot of super groups don't normally do it, but these do. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
No, I've honestly never heard of them. The only name I recognized out of what you guys were talking about was Gene Hoglan. I don't know Shane Embury or where's he from again?
Napalm Death.
Yeah,
Okay.
Napalm Death. Yeah. But that's kind of, you can't go off the Napalm Death tag because they're nothing like Napalm Death.
No. In fact, Meat Hook Seed and Unstained Terror and what's that other one I've got with him in Blood for the Soul? None of them's like Napalm Death. Shane Embury's into a lot of like a massive scope of stuff.
Yeah. But he's just one of those kind of characters in the scene that I just gravitate to. I like it.
Yeah, I do. I like him.
Yeah.
But no one's heard of that record, Mark.
Yeah,
I would love to put in some amazing amount of input here, but
and that's why I showed it, because I thought it's one of those bands that I never see get mentioned anywhere. So I'll give them a little mention because I think they're worth it.
So
what are we on now? What was that letter? Was that I?
Just before we move on, Mark. So I nipped out. So what style is that? Because you're saying Shane Embury does lots of different styles. What style is that one?
They're a modern death metal band. The sort of modern production values.
Stop. That's fine.
Yeah.
Just you said enough.
You've got to love Andy's dedication to despising death metal, haven't you?
You have.
He's good at it.
I just don't. It just doesn't feature in my life. Quite happy for other people to like it. With no taste.
What are we on next? It's me, right? Now this album, I know what you're thinking when you go for Judas Priest, and yes, that is what I was thinking about, and all the rest of it. But I thought, the Judas Priest catalog's been done to death, and then I thought, what about this? And I put it on, and the energy on this album, it's just phenomenal. this was before I got into heavy metal, Darcy. This is the sort of stuff I was listening to. It was really awesome and very rebellious, and it was like, you felt like a badass when you were listening to it. And I don't even know whether it made it to Canada. I'm guessing it might not have, but you still might have heard of them. You cock. And it's the Jam.
Oh, fuck him.
Now listen here, Scott. This is a rock and metal A to Z, and these lot are in the rock category. But pipe down, Agent Orange. I don't know if you've heard of the Jam, Darcy, but they were fronted by like a UK like Godfather. Up there, you've got like David Bowie up here, and below that, you've got the likes of Liam Gallagher, Morrissey, Paul Weller from the Jam. Now, this album's from 1991. Yeah. It's just the greatest hits. It's just the greatest hits. It's kind of all you need from the Jam, and this is from 1977 till 82. But honestly, I put this on because I nearly didn't pick it, and I put this on tonight and thought, it's absolutely fucking awesome. There's 19 songs on there, not a duff song on there. And this is very much your school disco, your teenage years, some of the big songs on here, Going Underground, Eating Rifles. If they never made it out of Britain, I'm really sorry. But the Jam were massive for anyone in the UK of a certain age. The Jam were huge. Taking away somebody else.
No.
You've never heard of them? Well,
no, I heard
fucking lucky you.
Oh, come on,
The Jam are shit, honestly.
They're not shit.
I'd rather eat shit sandwiches than jam sandwiches. That's how bad they are.
I hate the Jam. Honestly, I hate the Jam.
I can't believe it.
It's one of those bands that, you've got like a handful of bands that come on the radio and you just go, oh, fuck off. That is the Jam for me. I mean, I hear Going Underground or A Town Called Malice, and I just go, get that shit off. It's so bad. And every time I hear Paul Weller, what's the other one he does?
Wildwood.
The Wildwood. Oh, fuck's sake.
I'm not into solo Paul Weller stuff.
That was the Jam. You'd kill yourself. It's so bad. Darcy, you're so lucky.
Andy, help me out here.
I'm going to have to look this up now.
I love the Jam for what they were. Sort of almost kind of pre-punk as well. They're just part of growing up, bands like that. But it was more kind of the mod scene, and it has no place within a Contact in Blood video. I have to say, you can find a yellow card.
I struggle.
I'm showing it right now.
You should have just picked a fucking Judas Priest album and gone with it.
You could have shown British Steel by Judas Priest, and everyone would have loved you.
I know, but everyone's like talked about Judas Priest to death. We know all about that, and I wanted to show the Jam.
You're fucking mental, Mike.
Mark, what's your opinion on the Jam?
Completely what Andy said. Kind of part of growing up in the UK, you couldn't avoid eating rifles, going underground. They were there, but wrong fucking channel. What, have you not got any Junkyard, Mike? I
haven't.
Mike,
I had the CD, but I sold it. I'm waiting for the cassette.
You dropped a fucking ball there, didn't you?
I only had James Blunt, right? Jane's Addiction. I checked up. I showed them on the last fucking A to Z. Judas Priest, Janice Stark. You wouldn't have been any wiser. And what was the other one? I don't know, but you know, you've fucked me over with the letters, you bastards.
We didn't invent the alphabet, Mike.
No, but that little bastard down the bottom there, he devised who got what, and he fucking made it so I got all the shit letters.
And out of spite, Mike has picked the Jam.
Yeah.
On the A to Z of rock and metal.
Hey, or does it get a great deal better?
Listen, the letters are dished out randomly. Don't blame me because you've got a Jam record.
You fucked me with those.
The next time I'll have them.
I'm going for a piss.
No, just so Darcy kind of knows what they were very much part of the sort of mods and rockers scene in the UK, and you know the whole sort of the mods who rode around on Lambrettas and Quadrophenia. There's a film called Quadrophenia. I don't know if you know about that, but they were a very popular band in the UK, but they're certainly not rock or metal. Yeah. So
he's let us down there, isn't he?
Yeah. Well, once we've gone off air, he's in for a proper bollocking.
Yeah. Darcy, I think we may have a permanent vacancy on the Contact in Blood.
Yeah.
He should have just went with he should have just showed Jim Diamond.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I quite like Jim Diamond.
Jim. Yeah, where's Jim Diamond?
Yeah. Jim Diamond when you need him.
Fucking Jam.
Do you know the last time we did that, I bought a Jim Diamond CD to show on the next video as a piss tape.
Yeah.
I won't let you down again.
We were just
move on.
We were just wondering where your Jim Diamond was.
I haven't got that, but I have listened to some PhD today, to be honest. Me and Julie were checking out some High Horse Silver. I've been watching some repeats of Boone. Dean, fuck that shit, motherfucker.
God. Right, what are we on?
Try and call me drink.
I don't know what Mike's on, but I think we're on. Okay.
Hey. All right.
Don't let us down. Don't let us down, Darcy.
You guys invited me. I'm from Canada, so I'm going to show a little bit of Canadian pride. And this one actually was inspired by Bev over at Clarkovision on her Instagram. This is the second album from Kick-Axe. This is called Welcome to the Club. It's from 1985. Fantastic follow-up to if you've ever heard Kick-Axe Vices. It's a bit of a departure. It's but great album. If any of you guys have heard Kick-Axe from Canada, they had 3 really solid albums in 84, 85, and 86. Yeah, there you go. Awesome. Just really good album. Produced by Randy Bishop and Spencer Proffer, which you'd know from Wasp. I thought about Killer Dwarf. Sorry, I should have did that, but I went with Kick-Axe. Love these guys. Anyways, produced by Spencer Proffer. You know him from, I think, the first 2 or 3 Wasp albums. Just killer stuff. Just metal, hard rock, whatever, from 1985. And I think you guys have seen me show this album before, Vices.
Mm-hmm.
Fantastic album. A lot heavier than this one, but equally as good, though. I'll tell you.
How many albums have Kick-Axe got, Darcy?
They actually have 4 albums, but only 3 with this original lineup. The 4th album came years later. This guy, their singer, George Kristen, he is very unique voice. If you've listened to any Kick-Axe before. But the first 3 albums is where it's at for me, for sure. Their 3rd album was called Rock the World. A little heavier, too. Kind of back to kind of like where the Vices was. But yeah.
Yeah. I've got the first three.
Yeah. Kevin Wargod just said masterpiece. Absolutely. Vices, their first album. It's a masterpiece for sure.
Kick-Axe were a band that I hadn't really heard of until I started watching videos on the VC and stuff. And it was Vices that got shown all the time. When I first started making videos, Vices was getting shown all the time. So I've got the first three on vinyl. I've got what's that one you just showed?
Rock the World.
No, the one that you picked.
Oh, Welcome to the Club.
Welcome to the Club. So that's the newest one that I've got. I'm not even showing it in an update yet. This is like my kind of inbox down here. But yeah, I really enjoy Kick-Axe. It's just one of those bands that I kind of, because it was getting shown so much when I started making videos. It was a kind of like a band that I gravitated to straight away. But the thing is, when I first looked up their discography, I got them completely mixed up. I thought Vices was the second album. I thought Welcome to the Club was our first album. So when I actually found out the discography, I was completely mixed up. But a really good band.
Actually, you know the band King Cobra?
Yeah.
Okay, so a leftover track from this album was called The Hunger that they...
Oh, right.
Yeah, so
that's a great song.
If you look up that song, King Cobra, The Hunger, it's
penned
by it's written by these five guys.
I've never noticed.
And I think one of the reasons they got the song too is also that King Cobra Ready to Strike was also produced by Spencer Proffer for the Pasha label.
Yep.
Yeah. So they gave him that song, and then yes. Chatters, yes, for sure. There was actually a song on the Transformers movie soundtrack called Nothing's Gonna Stand in Your Way. And I think it's a cover actually, but they went under a different name called Spectra General. But anyways, if you have not checked out this album, it is awesome. Start to finish.
I can't remember hearing any Kick-Axe stuff.
This one's a little heavier though, this one, but
well,
yeah.
I've heard that Hunger song on that King Cobra album. That's just awesome.
Yeah.
So
you know what?
If the same people responsible for that are all doing that album, then that would certainly be of interest to me. But to be honest, that sort of stuff isn't. I never see that in this country. That's hard to get.
You know what I'd like? You know what you should do is look up Kick-Axe's version of The Hunger. It's way heavier. It's awesome. The guitar tone is just unreal.
That sounds pretty interesting, actually.
It's better than King Cobra as far as I'm concerned.
Cool.
That is an awesome song. That's like the high point, really, that King Cobra album. But I've heard of Kick-Axe, and I think it's probably from watching the VC. To be honest,
definitely, yeah.
I can't remember if I've heard of them. Sorry, before I started watching people on YouTube, but I rather think I hadn't a clue. But
I'd never heard of him until I sort of joined the VC watching videos, and I think it was probably Darcy actually, or someone showing that one with the guitar smashing through the earth, which kind of piqued my interest. But I'd never even heard of the band until the last couple of years. But I've checked them out. Yeah, they sound very good. They sound really, really, really strong. Vocally, I liked his voice. I think it was Vices was the one that I checked out.
That's what everybody shows.
That's really good album.
Kick-Axe, I'll be able to tell you that they got an album called Vices. It's got a really goofy cover, but I'm sure I must have checked them out because it's been shown that many times. But I can't remember what they sound like.
No,
it's funny how some bands just don't seem to travel, do they? You know, like Kickaxe, everyone in the VC who's from Canada, North America, talk about them, know them. People in the UK, it's only through the VC that I know that anybody's kind of found out about them, really.
Yeah, you know, and it's too bad. They're a great band, but I think probably the high points of their career were opening for Judas Priest. They actually have a cover song. You know the song 30 Days in a Hole? Anyways, they had a cover song on some movie, but yeah, they're just one of those bands that just they're awesome, but they just never made it.
Maybe if they opened for the Jam instead of Judas Priest.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
They got
a lot more exposure.
Yeah. These tiny decisions that bands make can really define their careers, can't they?
It's the decisions some live stream YouTubers make, the decisions that could affect their lifetime.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Girl Disco's fantastic tune.
Who's right? Andy?
Yeah. Okay, so I can see a few disappointed faces when I showed Gillan. This one, you may not have heard, but I think you guys would like if you check them out. That's a band called Lethal Shock and the album Evil Aggressor. He's a US band, and so this is from 2017. Power Trio, as we called. So in 2017, I went through a phase of buying stuff on Bandcamp. All right, I'm still in that phase, but I would always contact the band and say, "Can you sign it and send it on? Can you sign it and send it on?" And this is one of them. So this guy here, Steve Bodette, or Steve Lethal Bodette, as he's known. He got back in touch with me and emailed, and we had this email conversation going back and forth. And he said, "Yeah, absolutely, sort it out." And he got it signed. And I had to get this one imported from the US as well. So yeah, the music-wise, it's speed metal, but it's kind of got the vocals are a little blackened as well. It's nothing like Hellripper. It's not that extreme, but it's kind of a bit sort of throaty, almost desperate sounding vocals. I mean, check out songs Atomic Obedience, Endless Midnight, Iron Fisted Assault is a real kind of fist pumper as well. But it's really, really good speed metal. I'm just disappointed that they've not released anything since. But yeah, so this guy, Steve Burdett, he's chatting to me on email. He said, "You should check out my other band." And that was Satan's Hollow.
Oh, that's a good album.
On Satan's Hollow. And this, he told me about that, so I bought this as well. And this ended up being my favorite album of 2017. So it's kind of that theme I was talking about picking bands that influenced me to pick up other bands. And it's such a shame that these guys didn't last more than one album. I think the guitarist left and moved on to something else. So the rest of the guys reformed, and now they've got a band called Midnight Dice.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I remember you showing that. Yeah.
Yeah, and all the and Steve Burdett is the main guitarist in them. Now this doesn't sound anything like Satan's Hollow or Satan's Hollow and Midnight Dice. They sound very similar. You know, it's more traditional heavy metal. This is more your sort of throaty, slightly guttural speed metal, but well worth checking out if you've not heard Lethal Shock. It's the only thing they've done, but I think it's a fantastic album.
What year is that from?
2017 on Witch's Brew.
Excellent. I have got that album in my basket. Cavernous Records. My mate Chris, who lives just round the corner from me, is his record label. He's a distro as well as a label. And I saw that just purely off the cover and the logo. I thought that looks quite interesting. So I had a little listen on YouTube, and I quite liked it. It kind of reminded me. It was very sort of DIY sounding, very sort of like sort of mid-80s, late 80s sort of speed metal. But I quite liked it, yeah. So I stuck it in my basket. I haven't pulled the trigger on it yet, but maybe now I will, because it's just looking at that cover again has kind of piqued my interest. But yeah, it's it's a band I've only been aware of for the last couple of months. So yeah, nice one.
So, Andy, what are they? What would you classify them? New wave of traditional, or what?
Oh no, they're speed metal, a speed metal power trio. Yeah, with I say, but the vocals aren't clean at all. They're very kind of sort of back of the throat, slightly strained, but yeah, it works with it. It actually sounds like it. When I first heard them, I thought they were a German band, so I thought it kind of had that kind of vocal sound to it. And I don't know, maybe the guy is German. Maybe that's just his name's Patrick Schock. I don't know if that's just a stage name or whether that's somehow.
So one of them's called Lethal. One of them's called Shock. What's the other dude's name?
Just infernal, brute force beatings and.
Of course.
Violent voice and 6-string savagery. Yeah, but this guy goes by Steve Lethal Badette on his Facebook page.
Yeah, I like the look of that. Yeah, I like the sound of it. What I have heard of it.
Yeah, I like this. It's certainly of interest to me. I've never heard of them though.
I've actually heard of the other two rather than that one.
Yeah,
I'm more familiar with the other two.
Yeah,
names.
It doesn't sound like the other two. The other two are great, and I love them, but it's a completely different style of music.
Did Robert Blackstar Vinyl? He send you that Midnight Dice tape?
Yeah, he did. We did like a little a bit of a trade. He sent me that and some White Wizard.
Thomas.
And I sent him a Wasp live album.
Excellent.
Okay.
M. Who's up on M?
I am M. And I have picked Malice.
Oh, nice.
And License to Kill. I picked this because I think it's so underrated. It feels to me like an album that should be known by everyone, but isn't known really by anyone. I actually had it on this morning, and it's almost like it's like Lizzy Borden. That's the way I listen to it. And because Andy has been going through this massive Lizzy Borden kick, I thought this would be the perfect album to show, because it's honestly, I wouldn't call it a perfect album, but it's pretty close. It's a shit hot album, and it's actually one that I picked up. I was in a record shop in Edinburgh, and I saw this, and I'd never seen it being shown before. And I was like, obviously, just looking through the kind of the heavy metal section of the shop, and I saw the cover, and I was like, that looks pretty interesting. And I don't know if I think I might have texted somebody. I don't know if it was maybe one of you guys about this album, and they were like, "Oh yeah, you've got to pick it up." So I did, and no regrets here. Absolutely phenomenal. So if you've not heard that, give it a shot. It's just like Lizzy Borden, pretty much. So Malice and License to Kill.
Who's the guitar player? Jay Reynolds?
Oh, now you're asking me some serious questions.
Yeah, I think Jay Reynolds was in Metal.
Yeah, Jay Reynolds.
Yeah, he was in Metal Church for a little while, also in the kind of the Metal Church era that nobody knows about or nobody talks about. But yeah, Jay Reynolds is a great guitar player.
But yeah, it's an absolutely awesome album. I think they've got a second album as well. I'm not really sure about the history of the band.
I think one's called In the Beginning or something.
It might be. They've definitely got another album apart from this, but this one is obviously the only one I've got, and it's well worth a listen because it is awesome.
I used to have that one, and I sold it a while ago when I sold all my vinyl, and it is good. I think what do they call that reissue company? What's that CD reissue company?
Rock Candy.
Rock Candy's put it out, haven't they? I've been meaning to pick it up because it is a good album. But I can't remember it being like. I can't remember it being mind blown, but I remember me enjoying it. And to be honest, the Malice, I just remember. The only reason I remember them is because when Slayer first toured the UK, they were the support act, and they didn't go down very well with Slayer fans. And that's the only reason I remember them, to be honest. But I know that's a good album when I picked it up. I just haven't got that Rock Candy reissue yet.
I thought for a second that I had that album, and it was in my inbox. I hadn't listened to it, but I've not. It's one that I've certainly seen. I recognise the cover, and one that I definitely want to pick up. It's great, great album. But,
what year did it come out? What year was it?
It's about 86, I think.
86, 87.
I remember seeing that cover, and I seem to remember back in the day sort of paying attention because the name Malice sort of intrigued me. I thought they sound, but I seem to remember me being on my thrash metal journey. When I heard them, they weren't as heavy as I was expecting them to be. But I've never really actually gone back and had a good listen, so I should do. But yeah, someone made a good point there, Mike. A town called Malice.
I was actually trying to read that while I was talking, but I couldn't concentrate on the two things.
Yeah, it's definitely a band I want to check out. I've seen quite a few people show them in the VC.
Oh yeah, it's definitely worth it. It's honestly, and I thought it was the perfect time to show it because I know Andy's on this big Lizzy Borden kick, and it's just like Lizzy Borden.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely it's on the one. It's in fact, I thought I bought it, or maybe I bid on it on eBay and didn't win it. That's probably it.
Are you sure it's not in your collection, Andy? I think you might have that album.
No, I've looked. I have an extensive cataloging system. It's definitely not. Just a quick check online, but no, it's one that I definitely want. So that's a good choice. You reminded me of that one. I'm gonna have another look for that later.
It's quite funny because I did, although I put out my kind of like vinyl update today, I did a video last night of the same video, but I wasn't really happy with it. So I thought, you know what, I'm just going to scrap that. I'll do it. So I did it today instead, and I showed Lizzy Borden Terror Rising in the first take, and then you showed it in your update, and I thought I'll just take that out for this one. You're not the same day. It's like sitting right at the front of my inbox here.
I was convinced that was a full album. Not that I know much about the band. I'm just dipping in. So when I saw it, it was like really cheap. I grabbed it, and then when I heard there's like cover versions on it, and a version of White Rabbit, which still shocks me now that that's a cover. I didn't even know Sanctuary did a cover. I thought it was like one of the best songs that Sanctuary had ever written.
I love that song. I love the original.
Yeah. I felt cheated.
You shocked me that you didn't know that. I was like, what?
No. I was really late to the party with Sanctuary. We talked about bands before that you wonder how you missed out on them. And Sanctuary is one that did you know that where's it at? That Sanctuary album, you know the guy on the cover? Yeah. You know that I think I've heard the crack that it's that Bob Beeman, you know that Pastor Bob.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
Right. Well, he had this church, this organization called the Sanctuary or something like that, Metal Sanctuary. I don't know, something Sanctuary, and that had the like sword in it. And he had this organization called the Refuge of something or other, and that he put this like he blocked Sanctuary, the band, of calling themselves Sanctuary, or he tried to take them to court or something. And because his organisation was called Refuge of the Metal Church or something like that, that's why they call the album Refuge Denied, because he didn't want them doing it.
Wow,
and,
I never knew that.
And that guy on the front is supposed to be that Pastor Bob Beeman. Now, I don't know what it is, but there seems to be an awful lot there for it not to be, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I never knew that.
And I think we've all said that we're all not big cover guys, but that White Rabbit is unbelievable.
Some of the best cover songs I've ever heard are because I didn't know they were cover songs at the time.
Yeah. Well, you know, Battle Angels, right? That's a Beatles cover, right? I'm just
yeah. I was like, fuck off.
That was a Ringo Starr number, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah.
I mean, even "Women in Uniform" by Iron Maiden. That was probably one of the first songs that I ever absolutely loved, and then couldn't believe when I found out it was a cover version.
I didn't know it was a cover version for 20, 30 years.
No, there's a good idea. There's a good idea for a video here, boys.
Yeah. I didn't even know that was a cover version until about 11:30 tonight.
But yeah, you got to admit, Warrell Dane sadly missed that guy. What a voice!
Yeah.
What a voice! Unreal.
Yeah, absolutely. What
are we on now?
Right. We're going for N, and again, like I say, with having the beautiful Darcy with us, I'm going for another thrasher piece, an unknown thrasher piece.
Numbskull.
And this is a band called Numbskull, Ritually Abused, from 1988 originally. Now, I remember this coming out back in the day, and I was kind of put off by that name. That name, Numbskull, just kind of reeked of hardcore, sort of punky.
Yeah.
Didn't really strike me as a thrash metal band. But if you've not heard this, please check it out. It's thrash metal, sort of. It's one of those that borders on death metal, a bit like sort of Demolition Hammer and Morbid Saint. It's that heavier side of thrash metal. Vocally, he's not a growler, but you can barely sort of make out what he's singing about, because he's the way he sings, the way he sort of shrieks. It's hard to tell what he's singing about, but it's fabulous. It's like I say, I remember it back in the day, but didn't pay much attention. And I mean, it's a shit name for a band, isn't it? Numbskull. There's a few bands out there that I think have kind of done themselves no justice. But yeah, it's thrash of the heaviest side. Just brilliant. It's brilliant. It goes from fast and furious to those nice sort of mid-paced breakdowns. It's really good. If you don't know it, please check it out. This is a reissue on Relapse. But yeah, they're from Illinois. They only did 2 albums. I think they did this one, and then they came back more recently and did another album, but it's a bit more sort of death metal orientated. So this is kind of a one and done. But if you like the heavier side of thrash, check them out. And it's really, for the year 1988, it's really well produced. It's got a real nice sort of bassy, thick sound.
I'll have to check that one out.
Yeah, Numbskull. Check it out. Definitely worth a listen, that one.
I was kind of the same as you when I heard that name years ago. I thought it was like a hardcore band or whatever, and I ignored them. And I think I only checked that out last year on YouTube or something. And I haven't bought it or anything, but I know I checked it out and enjoyed it, and it was just one added to the list, But even a reissue, the they're still like low runs, and they're not cheap to pick up, even reissues, are they?
I've been looking for this for a while, and I think I managed to pick this up a few years ago, and it was like, yeah, £6 or £7 second hand, you know. So I'm not sure when it was released, when this reissue's from. Let me have a look. 2014.
I can't even remember. I just know that I listened to it and liked it, but I couldn't even remember what it sounded like, to be honest.
Good.
I just know that I liked it at the time when I tried it.
It comes in Fast and Furious, and then it's got enough about it to keep it interesting. It's not just like Fast and Furious all the way through. It's got some really nice little sort of breakdowns and those typical sort of mosh pit moments, you know.
Mm.
Well, I'm going to definitely check it out, but I'm sure we're all guilty of disregarding a band because of their name, and I would have just passed them by just because the name is shit.
Yeah,
yeah.
And they can't even spell, you know. Where's the silent B?
What do you reckon is the worst? Right, just quickly go around the screen. What's the worst band name?
Gay Bikers on Acid.
Nickelback.
That is shit. But what about their alter ego band, Lesbian Dope Heads on Mopeds?
That's much better.
No, yeah, that's shit.
That is shit.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's a shit name. Yeah.
Sleaze Bees is pretty shit as well, isn't it?
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah.
I'm going to look for my inbox and see what shit we've got in here.
Do you remember there was an English sort of alternative band?
We've got a fuzz box.
They were called Gay Dad.
I remember we've got a fuzz box and we're going to use it.
Yeah.
Have you heard of them, Darcy?
No.
Pig, yeah, that's
pigs.
pigs.
Because you can't shorten it at all. You have to say the full name.
You gotta have 7.
Pigs.
Absolutely shit.
Yeah, that's a bad one.
Yeah, it's not. I've got one by a band called Anal Vomit.
Oh, that's a good one.
I don't think anything anal's any good.
Well,
no, it doesn't ring.
No,
it doesn't ring nice to your ear, does it?
I mean, there's a band called Anal Cunt.
I know.
Oh,
I mean, that is just.
That's the worst.
It doesn't work at all. That.
I mean, who sits there and think, oh, we'll call it anal cunt. Fucking brilliant idea. Yeah. Oh yeah.
You can't see.
Are you in? I'm fucking in. That's brilliant.
I've never seen them on in HMV.
You can't imagine Kid Jensen introducing them, can you?
The Peel sessions. Did you know as well the Anal Cunt logo is just the letters A and C?
Yeah.
The middle of the A is an actual sphincter.
Oh,
and the middle of the C is obviously what it is. So
a lady pocket,
and the t-shirt has just got the big AC there.
Are we punched lasagna?
yeah.
Right, we're putting everybody off now.
What's next? Oh, it's me. It's me with my final pick of the evening.
Great.
No, it's not. Mind you, I've listened to this album tonight, and this band were one of the saviours of the 90s for me, and this album in particular. And I know Darcy will know it if no one else does, but it's the Offspring with Ignition. That is a phenomenal album from '92 when the Offspring hadn't broke big yet, and that was like a previous album, but still very good. That's like the peak of their powers for me, retaining the raw sort of energy from the start before they got too poppy, and then when they brought out like really poppy stuff and things like that. that was the only time I discovered them, because I didn't know them from this. But I quickly doubled back to pick this up, and this is the top sort of Offspring album for me. It's pop punk, but before you get to the pop, it's obviously when I say punk, it's not like Sex Pistols or The Exploited or anything like that. But it's rawer than pop punk. It's like 80s Bad Religion sort of thing, before Bad Religion become, something you shouldn't bother with anymore. And my favourite is No Hero. I don't know if you've got that album, Darcy.
No, I got into them. What was their big album? Their breakthrough.
Americana.
Yeah.
Smash.
No.
Smash.
Smash.
Smash, Americana, X-Nay on the Hombre.
Yeah.
Yes,
yeah. Smash was the first one. The first big one that blew them up.
Smash was a really good album.
Yeah, I discovered them with Americana. I used to love that album when it came out. I've not heard that for years actually. I'd actually like to go back and listen to that now. I don't know how different that is to the one you just showed, but
that's more raw, but it's absolutely brilliant.
You know what? Where I live, we don't get many concerts. I only live in a city of 10,000 people. But last year, the Offspring came with. Have you ever heard of the band Sum 41?
Yeah.
And another band called Dinosaur Pileup.
I've heard of them.
And if we don't go to concerts here and the support, we'll never get them. So I went, and the Offspring was awesome. Dexter and what's the guitar player? They're the two
Noodles.
members. Noodles. They were unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah, they were brilliant. I've seen them live on the Smash tour, and fantastic.
I didn't even know Dexter was a pilot too.
No, I didn't know that. I know he's a big bastard. He's 6'4" or something. He's massive.
Yeah, he's a big guy.
Is Dexter not a serial killer?
Yeah. He's also got a laboratory.
Oh, yeah.
No,
but I don't know the Offspring really. What's that song? Is it Pretty Fly for a White Guy? Is that them?
Yeah, but that's them doing like songs they've always got like a silly, quirky song on the album. And the radio pick up on it and then they play them, and they've had like big success with those songs, but they aren't representative of the album. They're just a stupid song.
Yeah,
I'm guilty. I'm guilty of falling into that trap. Exactly what that gentleman or lady saying there. It's I've just heard those big hits, heard it, and thought, nah, it's not for me. That it's the same as
them big hits are absolutely nothing to go by at all.
I've lumped them in with Blink-182 and Green Day and all those type of bands,
Nah. It's like it's a bit like saying, I don't like Megadeth because I don't like that song that goes, "Hello, me, meet the real me," and all that shite. That's not representative, is it, of Megadeth? That's not anything like fucking The Skull Beneath the Skin, is it? So if someone had only heard that song, you would say, well, you haven't heard Megadeth. Don't be so stupid. And if you've heard Pretty Fly for a White Guy, or fucking Why Don't You Get a Job, or something like that, you still haven't heard Offspring. It's totally stupid to think you have. They're way more raw than that, especially that album's like...
They're not doing themselves any favours if that's what they're sticking out there for the masses.
Well, it isn't, but they've sold like 50 million albums.
Yeah, but how many people who bought those albums actually like the Offspring? Do they think like, oh, I love Pretty Fly for a White Guy, I'll buy the album and think like, this is shit?
Because, back in like, I remember at Milton Keynes, right? They toured. They'd done a big tour for one of their albums, and it was the Offspring were headlining, and then underneath was Megadeth. And I remember thinking, fucking hell, I bet that really sticks in Megadeth's craw that they're only opening for the Offspring. But really, Megadeth, Overkill, Testament, Anthrax, you know, they're nowhere near as big as the fucking Offspring.
Yeah.
And I know it's tragic, and they should be. But they haven't sold anything like the amount of albums that Offspring have sold.
You know, that's so true, because when Megadeth had to open for Five Finger Death Punch a couple of years ago, I just about fell out of my seat. I'm like, fuck, no, really? Five Finger Death Punch, really?
Yeah.
When I saw the only time I've seen Slayer was on the farewell tour they did a couple of years ago. Probably still going. They're probably the same by a lot, aren't they? And that bill was Obituary opening, then Anthrax, then Lamb of God.
Yeah.
And I was completely like, how the hell could Anthrax be below Lamb of God? You know, one of the big four. How could that possibly be? And in terms of the music, I still think that. But in terms of the audience reaction, everyone there was going mental for Lamb of God. I kind of sat down and had a beer and just twiddled my thumbs waiting for Slayer to come on. But I didn't get it at all. But you know, I was clearly in the minority. It was very, very clear why Lamb of God were.
No, you're right. It definitely, you know, I was the same for that. You know, looking at all those four bands, the weakest band for me was Lamb of God. When they came on, it was the biggest mosh pit. They had a bigger mosh pit than Slayer. The place went fucking mental when Lamb of God came on. But they were pretty much, I would say, all under 20. You know, the people who went to see Slayer were probably more our age, so they're not going to go near the mosh pit anyway. So I don't know.
Yeah, I was up in the balcony, so.
But yeah, I'll check out a little bit of Offspring then, because I have to hold my hands up and say I'm guilty of being fly as a white guy or whatever it is.
Well, them songs are like, them songs make me as an Offspring fan for 30 years think, oh, for fuck's sake. And that is very much a record label decision, not a band decision. There's no way a band can craft 12, 13 songs for an album like they do and then go, I think we want that one to be the single. That is definitely people in a boardroom in suits making that choice. Because they're fucking awful, those songs.
I do remember listening to Americana and thinking that the songs throughout the album, apart from, because I think that's what Pretty Fly for a White Guy on Americana.
Yeah.
No, if I was recommending one Offspring album to anybody, I would say Smash.
Yeah, it's awesome. That is awesome.
But I remember thinking, even when I was like 14, 15, that the songs were much more clever than I thought. Like judging by Pretty Fly for a White Guy, I remember thinking, no, this album's a lot more clever than that song. Yeah.
The opening song for Exney on the Hombra, The Meaning of Life, with Jello Biafra off Dead Kennedys at the start, and then Exney on the Hombra comes in. Them choruses are like fucking enormous. The Offspring are like, after Nirvana, when Nirvana hit, and I know some people that hate Nirvana, but they were colossal. Offspring were the last enormous band for me that I thought, fucking hell, that's huge. That is mega catchy, you know. I haven't come across another band since, to be honest. But Offspring, you've got to check out the old stuff, especially. The non-single stuff anyway. That's the worst greatest hits you could ever buy.
I was just going to say, the greatest hits isn't the best introduction to this band.
No, it's the worst thing you could ever buy. is the Offspring greatest hits? Yeah.
Nice.
Wow, guys, we've done it. We've reached the end of this first half of the alphabet.
That's pretty good because my phone is about to die.
And Mark, you stayed with us most of it. Well done.
Excellent. Yeah, I went off. I've turned off the Wi-Fi. I'm onto 5G now, so it was the only way to sort it.
Well, thank you.
Well, we're gonna have
Thanks
to do,
everybody for
we're gonna have to do
watching.
the rest of this.
Yeah, we'll have to organise another date for the rest of it.
I'll check out my dodgy NHS rota and see what I can come up with. I'm sure I've got some spaces in the next 2, 3, 4 weeks, whatever. But and for Darcy as well, because it's the daytime for Darcy. So
hey, I'm good. Just tell me when.
Nice. We'll get it sorted. But thanks to everyone for watching. 2.5 hours, and we only got halfway through the alphabet.
Yeah, Scott, can you work out the worst possible letter combination for Mike for the next one? Give you a few days to sort that out.
Listen, I didn't invent the alphabet. All I did was put everyone's name on a list and then just allocated all the way down all the letters. So, Mike, I am so sorry, but you're getting even shitter letters next time.
I'm quite sure we've already got it organised. It's already written down there. Mike knows. He knows what he's got, really.
Oh yeah, yeah. It feels very reminiscent of the greenhouse scene in Scum for me.
Backwards.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks,
right. Well, thanks everyone for
Thanks everybody. Thanks for watching.
Always
see you next time.
Thanks everyone for watching. Great turnout. Love all the comments. Sorry we can't get to them all, but thanks everyone for watching.
Join us for part 2.
Yeah.
See you soon.
Next time.